Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times joins us now, brought to you by our good friends at RE/MAX Realty. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. Reach out to her at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com. Dustin Dopirak, how are you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Jim, how you doing?
I am ready to get home and turn around and do another game from Assembly Hall as the Hoosiers trying to come off of that, whatever you want to call it, Saturday. It was just a rough day.
Yeah.
They played hard at times. They played not together at times. It was a weird cornucopia of things coming off of the suspension. I mentioned a minute ago, I saw a lot of mouthing, and I don't have a problem with that. A, as long as you can back it up, but B, you got to be aware of your situation. And for Parker Stewart to be blowing kisses to the Izzone because he hits a three, coming off of his second suspension, and then goes 1 of 6 at the free throw line, that's not a good look to me. That says, dude, your focus is not where it needs to be. You need to forget about blowing kisses and shooting free throws. And I don't mean to get on him particular only. It's just that's just an example of some of these guys I just don't know are locked in focus-wise on what they have to do and how they're going to get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there was just a lot of moving parts there, and I don't know that it's necessarily like whether is it lack of focus. I mean, I think it was because at the Breslin Center, as far as where press seating is, like we are on the baseline and the they're on the sideline next to us. The Indiana players are on the sideline next to us, and like I mean, you can hear the Izzone guys like clear as a bell. And so like it was funny, like one guy kept trying to talk to Rob Finnis. He's like, "Why are you quiet, Rob?" Rob's like, "Because I ain't playing." Like, what do you mean? Like, I can't play. What do you want to say? And he literally said it, and like somebody else was yelling at him again, like when it was like at halftime when they were shooting around. Rob's like, "Yeah, okay, yep." I'll it's like I can't remember what it was, but he said something like, "Tell him that at halftime, Rob." And Rob's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll totally do that for you." But it's one of those things where you hear them so clear, and I don't know like is it better, is it worse? As some guys like is it almost better to engage? Is that better for you than trying to ignore it when you don't want to? But like as a whole, no, they didn't deal well with the total atmosphere, which included a very chippy Michigan State team. I thought, Matt Cohen did, I thought a really good piece for us on, just the emotion that Michigan State played with. Like it almost seemed like Michigan State had a grudge that Indiana didn't know what it was. Like they were getting into it, and guys were like sticking their faces in Indiana fans' face, just getting up into Indiana players, and they were like, "What did I do to you? Like, who are you? Like it's not like we've got beef going back 10 years. Like, who are you? Like, why
is the word out that you can punk guy you?
React with that, and they never seemed to be on a level footing with that. It was like Michigan State was just playing this a different way, and Izzo kind of explained it and just said, like, you guys aren't playing with any edge and you need to. Basically, I'm just not seeing it from you guys, and I need you to start playing, with a lot more grit and a lot more toughness. And I think part of the way they did that was kind of get a little bit old school, that the sort of things that you would have seen the Flintstones do, way back when with the Cleves teams and stuff like that. And they just jawing at people and going at it and acting like some of the better Michigan State teams. And this is not, this Michigan State team's fine. It's good, but you've seen 20 better in the last 30 years, probably, 15 in probably the last, 20, something like that. This is a pretty good Michigan State team. It's not great. But it's like, okay, play with that chip on your shoulder, play with the way Izzo teams do. And it was like, almost like it was like kind of an experiment for them. Like this was not sort of like a natural thing that just happened, but they just decided they were going to do it. And Indiana was like, what's going on with these guys? They never really figured it out. On top of that, you had the carryovers from the suspensions, all those guys sort of getting used to getting back out there, knowing they had to kind of regain trust. And I think it helped some guys and it hurt some others. I mean, I think, Tamar Bates went out there and had a moment. That was the best he's played in 2 months, maybe 3. But, Xavier Johnson gets in foul trouble and forces a couple and turns the ball over. Some of that fouls were unfair. I mean, he got a couple cheap ones, but, he was on and off. But Parker Stewart was a mess, just couldn't hit anything, couldn't hit a free throw. 1 of 6 at the line and 1 of 9 from the field. You shake up the lineup. You got, Trey Galloway starting, I don't think was a bad idea, but, also making him the backup point guard was a little bit of a stretch because I think that puts him. I think he's really good defensively, but I think he's better guarding a wing than he is, guarding a one where he's in pick and roll situations. I don't think he did great with those. I mean, they just as a team, weren't very good defending pick and roll, and Hoggard and Walker managed to burn them. And they were just, I mean, there was a lot of reasons for them to be disjointed, and they all came together and made them very disjointed.
Yeah, and so now they've got to quickly come back together, regroup, and not just play a game, but play another game against another ranked team, another top-end Big Ten team, but one that they have shown that they played some of their best basketball against earlier this season, although it was only for 20 minutes.
Right.
They're going to have to obviously play 40 minutes against this team, but they're getting to the point to where these are must-win games. I mean, if you're not, they've already lost 3 in a row. We just talked about last year they lost their last 6. Their NCAA tournament berth is in their own hands. It's their own they control their own destiny. But can they get things brought together mentally and as a team to accomplish that?
That's the question. And I was on in the background listening to Don Fisher at the end there, and Don really, I thought, encapsulated it perfectly, because the big thing is that when you've been through what these guys were through before, like when you've seen the bottom fall out, then when it starts to feel the same, that's when you get, that's when you're in kind of trouble. And so it's like, the good part is they know what it looks like. They might have learned some lessons for how to stop that. But on the flip side, like, there is the here we go again feel. And when that gets in some guys, it can go, it can go sideways. So I think, these days in between Saturday and Tuesday are, maybe some of the most important of the season. I mean, I think, I don't know that they have to beat Wisconsin, but they darn sure have to play better. They can't, if they get waxed by Wisconsin, then it's hard to imagine they won't get beat handily by Ohio State. Then you come back and get some games that are more winnable with Maryland and Minnesota and Rutgers. But when you're that one, like, if you're that shaken and you're riding a 5-game losing streak and it feels like the bottom is falling out, like, it's hard to recover at that point. So that is the big piece, is just that, like, I mean, they at least, if they don't win on Tuesday, they got to at least do something that improves their confidence. And the fact that it's at home is a big deal. Like, I mean, it is more winnable than going on the road and beating Ohio State, even though you've already beat them. You're going on the road. You're trying to do it in their place, and that's a lot. You've almost beat Wisconsin home, at their place. So you should be able to. It is a game that is winnable. I think. I mean, like, Wisconsin's got a couple of fantastic pieces, but they've been more solid. You've seen more top to bottom good Wisconsin teams. So basically, like, if they can defend Johnny Davis, and I think with Trey Galloway in this game, when they didn't have him in the first one, they have a chance of doing that. But there's a lot of other things that they've got to do to be able to win that basketball game.
Yeah, because if they weren't to not be able to get this win tomorrow night, and as mentioned, that would be 5 straight, well, then you go on the road at Ohio State, and you're really easily looking at 6 straight losses. Not only does that just destroy them emotionally, but what does that do to the NCAA committee that's looking at this team? They're going to have to climb back out of that, and that would entail winning not a game, but multiple games. And you have Purdue to end the season on the road. So these next 2 games tomorrow is really critical. The next 2 games are just critical to the remainder of their season, without question. I mean, how close is this to an actual must win? With the fact that you have Ohio State on the road right after that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty close. Again, it's one of those things where I would have gone into it just from a straight resume standpoint, saying, okay, if they just win all the ones that they're supposed to win, and you have those wins over Purdue and Ohio State, and you lose all the ones you're supposed to lose, are they still in? And I would have said probably, but it's close. I think if they lose to all the ranked teams left on their schedule, and they beat all the non-ranked teams, they're going to be, like, they're not out. I don't think. If you get Maryland, Minnesota, Rutgers, remember, Rutgers is a nice little win now. Rutgers has been beating some people, and so if you get that one, but if you just beat Maryland and Minnesota, I think you're out. I think that you're out. If Rutgers is a good win.
Rutgers would be a good win.
at this point. So if you get Rutgers and you get Maryland and you get Minnesota, you're tight. You could probably use a first round Big Ten win too.
So say that would give you 20 wins if you were able to pick
that
up
gets you
a
20.
win.
Yeah, I think that gets you in just because of those shiny wins at the top. I think gets you a long way. But it's tight, and you're nervous. You're not sure on Selection Sunday, and you don't have a advantageous position. Going in, you're probably a 10 if you're not an 11 and playing in Dayton. So that's still tough. I mean, I think you really need one of the. It would just go a long way to get one of these two, whether it's Wisconsin or whether it's Ohio State. Just everything every loss that you have at this point, it kind of looks like on the other end you got to get something you're not supposed to get. So I think that's key. I mean, it's pretty close to must win. It's not like, okay, you can put the season in the bag. If they lose on Tuesday, they might as well not even show up. I wouldn't say that. Like they can still make a case if they lose Tuesday. It's not over. But if you're them, you got to treat it like you need to get right today. You need to get right now because you're out of time. Like you can't wait. Like act like you've got cushion. You don't.